The video played on every screen in the command hall. The sound of screams and static filled the air as the last transmission from Icaron Colony played for the 10th time that morning. The screen showed broken domes, fire rising into the black sky, and people running through dust and ash. A woman carried a child, her clothes burned, her face pale with fear. Then the feed cut out as something heavy hit the camera. The image froze on a single frame, her eyes wide, her mouth open in a scream that no one would ever finish. Captain Daehan Ryu stood in silence, his hands behind his back. His jaw was tight, his eyes hollow. Around him, the officers of the United Terran Fleet said nothing. Every person in the room knew someone on Icaron. Friends, family, children. Daehan's younger sister, Ariam, had been working there as a teacher. Her name had already appeared on the list of the dead. No one cried anymore. They had cried for 3 days. Now only a heavy, cold quiet filled the room. The message from the Galactic Council arrived soon after. The alien delegates spoke in calm, diplomatic tones. Their words floated through the speakers like ice. The Council extends its condolences to the human Commonwealth. The Karvek Dominion has expressed regret for the events at Icaron. We advise against military escalation. Peace must be preserved. The officers listened, their faces hard. Then the message ended. The hall remained still for a few seconds until Admiral Seon Kim finally spoke. 300,000 civilians, he said quietly. And they call it an event. Daehan looked up. They call it regret, he said. As if it was a mistake, no one answered. The Karvek Dominion had not made a mistake. Everyone knew that. The reptilian species had attacked Icaron on purpose, to test human resolve, to see if Earth had the will to fight back. They believed humanity was soft, weak, still new to the stars, and maybe they had been right. Until now. That night, Daehan sat alone in his quarters aboard the TFS Nemesis. The lights were dim. A small picture frame lay on the desk beside him. Ariam smiled from the photo, standing in front of the learning dome in Icaron's capital. Her students waved behind her, all wearing small earth patches on their sleeves. Daehan stared at it for a long time, then set it face down. He opened his personal terminal. A message blinked on the screen. It was a single line from Admiral Kim. The order will come at dawn. Prepare the task force. Daehan read it once, then deleted it. He closed his eyes and sat in silence. Outside his window, Earth hung below, blue, bright, and fragile. He thought of Ariam's last call, the one he hadn't answered because of duty. Her last message was still stored in his archive. He pressed play. Appa, her voice said softly. The children are excited about the stargazing night. You'd love it here. The sky is so clear. When you come visit, bring your telescope. Promise? The message ended. He didn't move for a long time. At dawn, the Nemesis's engines came to life. In the hangars, crew members hurried to their stations. Marines strapped into drop pods. Pilots sealed their helmets. No speeches were given. Everyone knew why they were going. Across Luna Base, dozens of ships prepared to leave. Their hulls gleamed black under the artificial light, each one carrying a name from Earth's darkest myths. Hades, Medusa, Famine, Wraith. Together they formed Task Force Revenant. They were not going to fight a war. They were going to make sure there would never be another one. The official orders were hidden behind false diplomatic codes, but every crewman understood the truth. The Karvek Dominion had committed genocide. Earth would answer. The words never again had been said many times in human history, but now they would be written into the stars. As the Nemesis rose from its dock, Daehan stood on the command deck. Course set for deep space, his navigator said. Destination, unlisted. Engage, Daehan replied. The ship slipped into the darkness of hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the Karvek Dominion celebrated. Their soldiers feasted on the ashes of Icaron's ruins. To them, the war was already over. The humans would weep and beg for council protection. Just like the others they had conquered. In the great hall of the Dominion, the High Warlord hissed in laughter. They are soft creatures, he said. They build colonies and dream of peace. They have no claws, one of his generals asked. If they resist? The warlord's tongue flicked with amusement. Then we remind them what strength looks like. He did not know that Daehan's fleet was already in motion, passing beyond council sensors. The humans did not broadcast their anger. They hid it, polished it, and turned it into something sharp. Back on Earth, scientists worked in quiet laboratories under the surface of the Pacific Defense Hub. Among them was Dr. Sora Han, a xenobiologist who had once worked with the Council's peacekeeping branch. She had spent her career studying alien biology to find cures for diseases across species. Now her work had been reclassified. The file name on her console read Project Harbinger. She hated that name. Sora's hands trembled as she entered access codes. She knew what she was creating was not a cure. It was a message, something that could spread through ecosystems faster than any fleet could travel, something that could remind the Karvek that humans learned faster than any species they had ever fought. When her assistant, Giyun, asked if they were doing the right thing, Sora didn't answer. She looked up at the image of Icaron projected on the wall, the burnt domes, the smoke, the bodies. "This is what they left us," she said quietly. "We are only giving it back." Dahan's fleet reached the edge of Dominion space within a week. Their stealth systems hid them from detection. The first target was a Karvek fuel depot orbiting a gas giant. No civilians, no warning. Dahan watched from his command seat as the Nemesis's cannons charged. The stars flickered as the first beam struck. The depot exploded in silence, the fire stretching across the void like wings. "Target neutralized," said the weapons officer. Dahan gave a slow nod. Next, the second target was a listening post. The third was a military shipyard. Each fell the same way, swiftly, quietly, with no survivors. By the fifth strike, the Karvek Dominion began to realize that someone was hunting them. The Council demanded answers. Earth gave none. The official response from President Yuna Cho was short. The human Commonwealth denies involvement in any unauthorized military actions. We continue to pursue peace through lawful means. But her eyes, when she spoke those words, told a different story. Every human watching the broadcast saw it. The world knew what was happening and no one protested. The time for peace had ended when Icaron burned. Weeks passed. The Karvek lost 7 colonies. The Dominion's propaganda channels fell silent. The aliens who once mocked humanity now spoke in whispers. They had called humans fragile, emotional, divided. But now they faced something else entirely. A species that united under grief and turned sorrow into fury. In the dark of space, Dahan stood before the viewport. The wreckage of another Karvek station drifted outside, glowing faintly in the distance. His crew worked in silence behind him. He thought of Ariam again, her laughter, her soft voice, her dream of teaching alien children about Earth's music and stories. She had wanted a galaxy where everyone could live together. Now that dream was buried in ashes. Dahan lowered his head. "I'm sorry, little sister," he whispered. "This is the only peace they understand." Behind him, the stars flickered like dying embers. The humans had begun their answer. The galaxy just didn't know it yet. The galaxy did not notice the humans at first. The Karvek Dominion believed the strikes were accidents or isolated incidents. Even some council members whispered that Earth's fleet could not possibly operate so deep into Dominion space without detection. They were wrong. Task Force Revenant moved like shadows through hyperspace. Every human ship carried the same silent purpose: precision, speed, and complete control. Their first targets had fallen, but the real work had only begun. Captain Dahan Ryu studied the latest intelligence reports on the bridge of the Nemesis. Sensors had traced the Dominion's main supply routes, communication hubs, and orbital defenses. Each report carried a warning. Civilian zones were often near military installations. He looked at the data and did not flinch. Lieutenant Hanul Park, a young officer with dark hair and sharp eyes, glanced nervously at Dahan. "Sir, some of the systems will hit areas near the colony cities. There could be non-combatants." Dahan's hands rested on the edge of the console. "We are not here to punish civilians," he said. "We are here to stop them from killing again. If they hide behind their people, that is their choice." Hanul swallowed, knowing there was no debate. Every strike was calculated to teach the Dominion a lesson. The humans had patience. They waited. They struck when the enemy believed themselves safe. Meanwhile, far across Dominion space, Sorahan and her team continued their work on Project Harbinger. The laboratory was deep underground on Earth, far from prying eyes. Screens lined the walls showing maps, genetic sequences, and satellite feeds of Karvek agriculture and water systems. Sora leaned over the console. "We don't need weapons that destroy cities," she said. "We need weapons that make them understand fear differently. Hunger, disease, collapse. We can hit faster than fleets and they will not see it coming. Gyun, her assistant, looked uneasy. Is it ethical? Sora shook her head slowly. Ethics were decided the day Icaron fell. We are responding, not attacking without cause. This is survival. By the time Task Force Revenant reached the inner systems, the Dominion was already panicking. High-ranking officers convened councils, sending messages to one another. They scrambled ships to defend fuel stations, communication hubs, and supply routes. But every human attack had already been calculated. Each strike was fast, precise, and surgical. A Karvek warlord, his scales dark and glinting, shouted at his commanders. They are ghosts. Nothing stops them. They do not fight like us, they destroy like the old legends of the Star Eaters. They did not know the humans were learning from every encounter. Every destroyed outpost, every fallen ship became a lesson for Dahan and his officers. Tactics evolved. The humans adapted faster than any alien army had ever seen. On the Nemesis, Dahan watched as Hanul reported the aftermath of a supply depot strike. All strategic installations neutralized. Civilian areas, minimal damage. Only collateral debris in orbit. Dahan nodded. Good, continue the sweep. Next target, the orbital defense array around Talon Prime. Disable their shields and comms. Then move on the fleet station at Kirith. Hanul hesitated. Sir, the fleet station is near the main city, Kirith City. Dahan did not look away from the screens. They built their fleets on the backs of civilians. If they hide behind their people, they will bear the cost. Icaron's children paid already, so do not falter. Hanul lowered his gaze. He had seen the ashes of Icaron. He understood. At the same time, across Earth, Sora's team began sending genetic codes into Dominion crops and livestock. These codes were harmless to humans, but devastating to the Karvek. Growth stopped. Food rotted in storage. Famine spread through minor settlements faster than anyone could notice. Every bite they take will remind them of Icaron, Sora whispered. Every drop of water, every leaf they will remember. Meanwhile, the Dominion scrambled to understand the attacks. They are faster than our fleets. They strike without warning. They think like predators, the High Warlord hissed. But they are not intelligent. No species is so precise, he was wrong again. Dahan had trained his officers to anticipate Dominion responses. Every strike forced the Dominion to overreact, creating chaos in their own systems. Supply lines collapsed. Communication networks failed. Ships collided in panic maneuvers. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Hanul reported another update. Dominion fleet intercepted a decoy signal near Kirith. We were able to bypass their main patrols without detection. Fleet movement is in disarray. Dahan leaned back in his chair. Good, let them stumble in their own fear. That is as effective as a weapon. The human crews worked in silence, only speaking when necessary. They had lost sleep, family, and friends, but they moved forward with steady precision. No one cried, no one begged. The humans had learned to channel grief into action. On Dominion worlds, civilians began to whisper among themselves. The humans are not the same species we fought before, one said. They are monsters. The term spread quickly, whispered in fear among soldiers and citizens alike. Humans did not conquer. They erased, but with purpose, with calculation. The Karvek soldiers began refusing orders. Entire fleets stalled, waiting for something they could not understand. Back in Earth's laboratories, Sora monitored the data. They are reacting, she said. The famine is hitting their major centers now. Their military operations are slowing. They do not know it is us. They only see the effect, Gyun nodded. We are ghosts to them. Yes, Sora said, her eyes hard. And ghosts can teach fear better than armies. By the third week, the Dominion realized the humans were in their space, and that nothing they had could stop them. Entire colonies went silent. The Dominion fleets tried to regroup, but Task Force Revenant had predicted every move. Every strike was a lesson in inevitability. Every system disabled brought more confusion. Dahan stood on the Nemesis bridge, looking at the holographic map of Dominion space. Red dots blinked where human attacks had already succeeded. Gray dots marked inactive systems. Only a handful of strongholds remained. Hanul came to stand beside him. Sir, they are calling for a truce. They want to negotiate. Dahan's eyes did not leave the map. Icaron was their negotiation, he said quietly. Now they will see what happens when humans decide the rules. The Dominion's High Warlord sent an envoy to meet the humans, but the ships were stopped before they could reach the outer rim. Dahan did not respond to their messages. The humans were teaching the Dominion to wait, to see patience turned into fury. Across the galaxy, whispers of the real monsters began to circulate. Alien traders, diplomats, and scouts spoke in hushed tones about humans who had moved faster, struck deeper, and learned quicker than any other species. They called them ghosts, predators, hunters. Some said humans were cruel. Others said humans were wise, but all agreed on one thing: humanity had changed. The species once mocked as primitive, fragile, and emotional was now something else entirely, something terrifying. And somewhere deep inside Task Force Revenant, Dehan Ryu thought of his sister Ariam. He thought of the children of Icaron, and he knew that this was only the beginning. The humans had begun their lesson in full. The Karvek Dominion would learn, in the most human way possible, that their prey had become the hunters, and the galaxy would never forget it. The Karvek Dominion had begun to realize that they were losing control, but they did not yet understand why. Ships that should have been patrolling outer colonies disappeared without a trace. Supply lines collapsed faster than they could rebuild them. On Talon Prime, a major command center went dark for nearly 24 hours, and when communications returned, all messages were confused, garbled, or completely wrong. Captain Dehan Ryu sat in the bridge of the Nemesis, watching the red and green blips on the tactical map flicker. Each signal represented a Dominion installation, a fleet, or a supply depot that had been disabled or destroyed. The humans did not fight for glory. They fought for revenge, for justice, for survival. "Sir," Lieutenant Hanul Park said, voice tight, "we've detected Dominion fleets trying to regroup near Kireth. They're moving faster than before." Dehan nodded slowly. "Let them come. They will not find us where we are. Their speed is their weakness. We control the space between them and safety. Every path we allow is a path we choose." Hanul swallowed. "They have started attacking minor colonies nearby. They are desperate." "Yes," Dehan said quietly, "and desperation is predictable." In the labs on Earth, Dr. Sora Han continued Project Harbinger. Her screen showed data from dozens of Dominion agricultural systems, water supplies, and storage facilities. Every signal told the same story. The crops were failing, livestock were dying, and communities that had once thrived were now suffering shortages. One of her assistants, Gyun, looked uneasy as he examined the data. "They are suffering too much," he said. This could kill millions." Sora did not respond immediately. She stared at the screen showing Icaron colony in flames, the memory of her first visit to the settlement, and the faces of children who would never grow up. "They started it," she said finally. "They left thousands to die. They committed genocide. We are just teaching them the consequences." Gyun said nothing. He did not argue. He understood. Meanwhile, the Dominion scrambled to defend themselves. Fleet commanders barked orders, but the humans were always one step ahead. The Nemesis, along with its support vessels, moved silently through the shadows of Dominion space. Sensors picked up enemy movements, then guided missile strikes and sabotage teams neutralized ships before they could even leave the hangars. On one of the outer orbital stations, Lieutenant Hanul reported, "Sir, the Dominion is attempting to negotiate again. They are sending messages of surrender for some outer colonies." Dehan studied the blinking signals on the screen. "Let them," he said softly. "Let them surrender where they can. It will make the next steps clearer." The humans were not cruel. They were patient. They calculated everything with precision. They struck where necessary and allowed mercy where it made sense. That was what made them terrifying. The Dominion had underestimated the humans' ability to control both violence and restraint. In the dark of the Nemesis's control room, Dehan reviewed footage from one of the recent strikes. The station had been dismantled in minutes with minimal civilian loss. He had ordered it that way. Humans did not kill without reason, but when reason required it, they did not hesitate. "The galaxy believes we are weak," he murmured. "They think we are soft. They will learn otherwise." Hanul nodded, but his hands shook slightly. "I understand, sir. I did not expect it to feel like this." Dehan turned to him, his eyes steady. "It feels like this because it matters. If it did not matter, we would not remember the names of those lost. If it did not matter, Icaron would be a number, not a memory." The Dominion was beginning to understand the humans' speed and precision. Every time they thought they had escaped, Task Force Revenant appeared again. Communications were jammed, supply lines intercepted, and military stations disabled. The Dominion soldiers whispered in fear that the humans were not just fighters. They were hunters, clever and relentless, moving with thought, patience, and revenge in their hearts. On Earth, Sorahan monitored the human strikes in real time. Each ship was moving according to pre-programmed coordinates, each attack synchronized with the genetic sabotage she had unleashed. Famine, collapse of supply lines, and confusion in Dominion fleets all worked together like a machine. The humans were striking with science and precision, and Sora knew that this would be remembered across generations of aliens. The outer colonies are giving up, Gyun said. The Dominion cannot hold them anymore. Sora nodded. And we are just getting started. They will see that the humans are not as weak as they believed. They will see what it means to hurt our people. Hanul reported another update from the Nemesis. Sir, the Dominion fleets are beginning to scatter. They are trying to regroup near the Karvek capital. It will take them weeks to organize an effective defense. Dehan's lips pressed into a thin line. Weeks is all we need. We will strike when the timing is perfect. We will choose the moment when they feel safe, when they believe they can retaliate. That is when our lesson is most effective. The human crews worked tirelessly. Days and nights passed, marked only by mission reports and tactical updates. No one slept more than necessary. Everyone had a personal reason for being here, a memory of loss driving them forward. And yet they moved as one, precise and efficient, like a single organism with one purpose. The Dominion began to panic. Orders conflicted. Fleets collided. Supply depots failed. Colony systems broke down as famine and disease spread silently, accelerated by Project Harbinger. Dominion leaders could not understand what was happening. Their scouts reported human fleets moving where no fleet should be, attacking without warning, disappearing again. They are ghosts, one officer whispered. They are not soldiers, they are monsters. In the quiet of the Nemesis control room, Dehan allowed himself a brief moment to look at the stars. Each point of light reminded him of Icaron, the colony he had failed to protect, the people who had died. He had promised himself he would not let it happen again. The Karvik believed themselves predators, he said softly to Hanul. They were wrong. We are the predators now. Hanul nodded, understanding finally what Dehan meant. The humans were not attacking for glory or conquest. They were acting as humans always had when survival demanded it, with relentless determination, patience, and the willingness to pay any cost. As Task Force Revenant continued its operations, the Karvek Dominion sent their first desperate message to Earth. We beg for negotiation, it read. Stop your attacks and we will surrender some colonies. We offer peace. The human response was silent. Dehan did not reply. The strikes continued, faster and more precise than before. The Dominion would learn that humans did not bargain when justice was at stake. On Earth, Sorahan watched the reports. The Dominion's colonies were collapsing, their fleets in disarray. And still humanity did not rejoice. There was no celebration. Every action was measured, every strike purposeful. Humanity had begun to teach the Dominion a lesson they would never forget. Even across the galaxy, alien observers whispered about humans. Traders, diplomats, and scouts spoke in hushed tones about the species that moved faster, struck deeper, and adapted quicker than any other. They are not soldiers, one said. They are hunters. They are monsters. Back on the Nemesis, Dehan watched another red dot disappear from the tactical map. Another Dominion station destroyed, another supply line cut. And in his heart, he knew that this was only the beginning. The humans had learned to fight not just with weapons, but with intelligence, patience, and the memory of those they had lost. They believed us weak, Dehan said softly. They believed we were fragile. But they forgot what it means to hurt humans. They forgot what happens when prey learns to fight. Hanul looked at him, his voice quiet. Sir, will it ever end? Dehan turned to the viewport, looking at the stars streaking past in hyperspace. It will end when they understand, he said. And only they can decide how long that takes. The humans had begun their true campaign. The Dominion would never see it coming, and the galaxy would never forget it. The Karvek Dominion had begun to crumble. Their fleets scattered, colonies went silent, and famine spread faster than any of their leaders could understand. They still clung to hope that Earth would stop, that humans would be satisfied after a few strikes. But Task Force Revenant had no intention of stopping. Captain Dahan Ryu studied the tactical maps in the bridge of the Nemesis. Red dots marked destroyed installations. Yellow dots marked collapsed colonies. Only a few green dots remained, the Karvik capital systems. The Dominion's High Warlord had yet to respond personally. Dahan knew that meeting him was inevitable. Lieutenant Hunul Park stood beside him, tense. "Sir, the Warlord has requested a personal negotiation. They want to meet in orbit above Karoth Prime." Dahan nodded slowly. "Very well. Prepare the shuttle. I will meet him. But understand this, Hunul, we do not negotiate as equals. We negotiate as predators to prey. He will remember every strike, every colony, every life his empire has taken. He will see the cost of underestimating humans." Hunul swallowed. "Yes, sir. Understood." The shuttle left the Nemesis and approached Karoth Prime. Its surface burned in faint fires from previous strikes. Smoke rose in dark columns, twisted by the thin wind. The capital city was in ruins, its buildings shattered, domes collapsed. A faint red haze filled the sky, and the atmosphere smelled of ash. On the shuttle, Dahan looked down at the ruined world. "This is what happens when an empire forgets that prey can fight," he said quietly. Hunul did not answer. Words felt small against such destruction. The High Warlord waited in orbit, a massive ship hovering over the planet like a claw. Its hull gleamed dark green and massive cannons protruded from the sides. The shuttle docked, and Dahan stepped aboard, flanked by Hunul and a small security team. The interior was cold, metallic, and silent. The Warlord waited in a high chamber, its head raised, eyes glowing with scales of dark red. Its voice hissed across the room. "You have destroyed worlds without mercy. You are monsters." Dahan's voice was calm. "We are humans. You call us monsters. You committed genocide. You killed Icaron. Do not speak to me of mercy," the Warlord growled, pacing slightly. "Icaron, they were nothing. They were weak. You overreact." Dahan stepped closer. "They were our people. And because you failed to respect life, you will learn what humans become when peace dies." The Warlord's eyes narrowed. "You think yourself clever. You think your strikes, your diseases, your famine will make us bend, but we are an empire. We have survived worse than humans." Hunul stepped forward. "Sir, they are panicking. Their fleets are scattered, colonies collapsing. Even your own attacks, our attacks have them terrified." Dahan nodded. "Exactly. Let them speak of fear. Let them tremble. It is the only language they understand now." The Warlord hissed, claws tapping on the metal floor. "And what is your goal, human? To rule us? To destroy us?" Dahan's eyes met the Warlord's. "No, to make you understand. To make you remember every life you have taken. To make you face the consequences of your actions. You will not rise again and call humans weak. You will not touch another colony. And when you speak of us, you will call us what we are, predators." The Warlord's jaw flexed. "You are nothing like your ancestors. Your species was weak. You were weak. How have you become this?" Dahan's voice was steady. "We became what we had to, and we will not stop." Meanwhile, across Earth, Sorahan monitored the transmissions from the shuttle. Project Harbinger continued to devastate Karvik agriculture and water systems. Entire regions were collapsing without human soldiers present. Humanity's revenge was not just in ships and cannons, it was in biology, in science, in strategy. Every Karvik action met a human reaction. In orbit above Karoth Prime, the Warlord tried to assert control. "You will leave this system. You will not force our surrender." Dahan shook his head. "The time for your empire's pride is over. You have made your choice. Now you will face it. Every colony, every fleet, every life you destroyed, and it counts. And we keep score," the Warlord hissed in frustration. "And what do you want? Total annihilation? Do you want to watch us burn?" Dahan's expression was cold. "We want peace, but you have learned nothing about it. You have left us no choice but to enforce it." A warning siren sounded in the Warlord's ship. Hunul glanced at the console. "Sir, their main defense grid is going offline. Project Harbinger is spreading faster than predicted. Systems are collapsing. Supply chains broken. Their fleets scattered." Dahan nodded. "Good, let them feel it. Let them understand what it is to be powerless against the humans they underestimated." The Warlord fell silent. For the first time, its confidence wavered. The creatures who once laughed at humanity now trembled in front of a species they had considered weak. The humans did not shout, did not boast. They simply moved, precise and unstoppable like predators in a dark forest, waiting for the moment to strike. The shuttle returned to the Nemesis after the meeting. Dehan did not speak for a long time. He stood by the viewport looking at Karath Prime shrinking behind them. Hanul approached cautiously. "Sir, you have shown them." "Everything." Dehan nodded. "Not everything. They have yet to learn what humans do when peace dies entirely. Today they saw our patience. Soon they will see our resolve." Across the galaxy, reports of the human strike spread like wildfire. Other alien species whispered of Earth's power. Traders, explorers, and diplomats all began to tell the same story. The humans were not soldiers, not simple prey, they were monsters when pushed. Hunters who remembered, adapted, and struck with precision. On Earth, Sorahan continued to monitor and adjust Project Harbinger. "They still think the attacks are random," she said to Gyun. "They do not see the hand behind them. They do not see the humans." "But they will," Gyun nodded. "They call us monsters. Maybe they are right." Sora looked at the screen showing Karvek colonies collapsing. "We are humans," she said quietly. "And humans remember." The High Warlord of the Dominion no longer laughed. Its fleets were scattered. Its colonies collapsed. Its people starving, and the humans had yet to show their full strength. Dehan walked through the corridors of the Nemesis, silent as the crew worked around him. He stopped by a memorial plaque for Icaron Colony. He touched the small light that represented the children, the teachers, the families lost. "This is why we fight," he whispered. "The humans did not conquer. They did not seek glory. They enforced justice. They were the predators the Karvek had never imagined existed. And now the galaxy would see them fully." Dehan turned to Hanul. "Prepare the next targets. The lesson is not over. We strike where we are needed, when we are needed, and they will remember every strike, every life. Every mistake they made against us." Hanul nodded. "Yes, sir. They will know humans are not weak." Dehan's eyes hardened. "They will know. And when this is over, no one will dare call humans monsters lightly, because now they meet the real ones." The galaxy had begun to whisper about humans. Traders, diplomats, and scouts all shared the same story. The humans were no longer the fragile species they had once known. They were precise, patient, and deadly when provoked. The Karvik Dominion, once proud and cruel, now trembled in fear. Captain Dehan Ryu stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, staring at the stars ahead. The Dominion's last strongholds flickered red on the tactical map, signals dying out one by one. Entire systems had fallen silent. The humans had not conquered them. They had taught them to fear. Lieutenant Hanul Park approached, holding a data pad. "Sir, their High Warlord has sent another message. They are begging for surrender. Some colonies are surrendering voluntarily. The Dominion is collapsing." Dehan did not smile. "Good, let them surrender. Let them see the cost of their choices. But we are not finished. Not yet." Across Earth, Dr. Sorahan monitored the spread of Project Harbinger. Every Karvek colony, every fleet base, every agricultural system had been affected. Famine and disease were spreading through Dominion territories at a pace faster than any human fleet could manage alone. Sora tapped the console, sending updates and adjustments, making sure no human could be harmed. "They will learn fear without mercy," she whispered. "They will remember Icaron." Gyun glanced at her nervously. "It feels an extreme. Millions could die." Sora shook her head. "They started it. Every strike, every death they caused, they left us no choice. They made us monsters. Now they meet the real ones." In the heart of the Dominion's capital, the High Warlord paced the council chamber. Its claws scratched the floor, scales glinting under dim lights. "They are everywhere," it hissed. "We cannot hide. Our fleets are gone, our colonies are falling, and they are patient. They do not tire. They do not stop." A subordinate, trembling, said, "High Warlord, what do we do?" They are not soldiers. They are hunters. They know every move we make before we do." The Warlord's eyes widened. "No species should have this memory, this intelligence. They are not creatures. They are predators. We underestimated them." Dehan's shuttle descended on Karath Prime again. The capital city lay in ruins, smoke rising from shattered buildings. There was no cheering, no celebration, only silence and ash. Hanul glanced at Dehan. "Sir, the survivors are few. They beg for mercy." Dehan's jaw tightened. "Mercy? They left our people to die. We show mercy only when it serves justice. Today, we enforce the consequences. The shuttle docked at a Dominion command station. Dahan stepped inside, flanked by Hanul and a small security team. The warlord waited, its confidence finally gone. Its voice was low, almost broken. You have destroyed everything. You are monsters. Dahan looked at the warlord, voice calm and firm. We are humans. You called us weak, fragile, unable to fight. You killed Icaron. Now you understand. We are not your prey. We are your reckoning. The warlord fell silent. Its fleets were scattered, colonies starving, communication networks failing. Its empire was collapsing faster than it could comprehend. Back on Earth, Sorahan watched the data streams. Every Dominion colony showed the same pattern. Systems collapsing, food supplies rotting, population starving, fleets immobilized. Her face was calm, but her hands trembled slightly. They will never underestimate us again, she said quietly. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Dahan spoke to his crew. This is what happens when a predator learns patience, precision, and memory. Every life they destroyed counts. Every colony they burned is remembered. And now the galaxy sees humans as we truly are. Hanul nodded. They call us monsters. Maybe they are right. Dahan turned to the viewport, looking at the shrinking planet below. We are not monsters. We are humans. And humans remember. We protect those we love. We avenge those they destroy. They called us weak. They will not forget what it means to cross us. The warlord, finally defeated, surrendered its fleet. Entire colonies sent representatives to negotiate, trembling at the thought of humans who moved like shadows, struck like storms, and punished without hesitation. No one dared oppose them. No one laughed at humanity again. On Earth, news channels broadcast the Dominion surrender, but President Unicho made no celebratory speech. Instead, she addressed the united Terran assembly quietly. We did what was necessary. We acted with precision, patience, and intelligence. We defended our people, and we sent a clear message. No species should threaten humanity again. In laboratories across the planet, Sorahan turned off her console for the first time in weeks. Gyun looked at her. It's over, isn't it? Sora shook her head slowly. It is over for now. But the galaxy will remember. They will never call humans weak again. They will never forget the cost of underestimating us. Across the stars, alien observers whispered of the humans. They are not soldiers, one said. They are hunters. They are monsters, and humanity did not deny it. They had learned from Icaron. They had learned from grief. And now, they had shown the galaxy what it meant to awaken the human predator. Captain Dahan Ryu walked through the corridors of the Nemesis, silent as the crew worked. He paused by a memorial plaque for Icaron Colony. He touched the small light that represented the children, the teachers, the families lost. This is why we fight, he whispered. Hanul approached. Sir, the galaxy fears us now. They speak our name in whispers. Dahan nodded slowly. Let them. They should fear us. Not for glory, not for conquest, but because they now understand that humans remember. Every life taken, every injustice done, will be answered. And when they meet humans, they meet the real ones. The fleets returned to Earth, silent, disciplined, and precise. The humans did not celebrate the destruction they had caused. They remembered the losses that had driven them. They remembered Icaron. They remembered every child, every teacher, every family. And the galaxy would never forget the humans again. Years passed. The Karvek Dominion ceased to exist. Alien species whispered of humans as predators of unmatched patience and intelligence. Traders avoided former Dominion territories. Diplomats spoke of humans with respect and fear. And on Earth, life went on. Cities rebuilt, children played, and humans looked to the stars. But no one on Earth forgot. Not Dahan, not Hanul, not Sorahan. They remembered the cost of revenge, the power of patience, and the strength of humans when forced to fight for justice. A message circulated quietly across Council archives. This is humanity's warning. Harm one of us and you meet all of us. You called us monsters. Now you meet the real ones. The galaxy listened. And humanity, scarred but unbroken, watched the stars, ready for whatever would come next. Because humans were not fragile. Humans were not weak. And now everyone knew it.